If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, and foes, and perhaps otherworldly beings I do not know. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and I would say I'm broadcasting live tonight, but that is no longer true. But it is tonight, same time, same crazy place. It's going to be 3 hours before I get to put it out, and sometimes it could take up to an hour for it to upload, but yeah, I'm still broadcasting live for me from the Mile High Clubhouse. So tonight is story time with me, TessaTNT, and I've been looking around trying to figure out what are we gonna do. And I've been curious to go down the lane of am I the asshole? Because some of those are pretty juicy. I don't know, it kind of goes away from what we generally do, but sometimes you just need a little tea. Well, that being said, I think we need to change the music. Ready? Here we go. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's going to be good for this. Am I the asshole for reporting the girls that broke into my room? This is by Zuwooey Mama. Hi, I'm pretty sure I'm not the asshole in this situation, but the girls made me feel really guilty. So on Friday at around 10 p.m., 2 girls knocked on me and my sister's door, and I thought that someone might need help, or it was our RA, so I told my sister to open the door, and that's when these girls pushed their way into my room and started filming a room tour of our room for a TikTok. for extra information, 1. My room was hoarder level messy. Me and my sister have depression, and it's really hard for us to keep a clean room, and my sister has a chronic illness. We're trying to be better though, but this might be like on this night our room was just really messy. 2, me and my sister are obese, to put it bluntly. I really didn't want any bullying to come my sister's way. Let's move on to number 3. I was wearing night clothes and I didn't have a wig on, and they filmed my wig that was on the table. This is messed up. What the heck is this? So after they filmed the TikTok, they left, and I was in shock. I told them to not post it anywhere, and they said they wouldn't and left. My sister and I tried to laugh it off, but I was really worried, and I thought that we were going to be posted on the internet, so I got dressed and told an RA. We found the girls, and 2 RAs made sure that the video wasn't in their camera roll or TikTok drafts. The RAs asked why would they burst into our room without asking to film, and they said that they did it to everyone and nobody else had a problem with it. The RAs said that they could be filmed and fined, so they would be fined, which made me feel really bad because I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't posted anywhere, and I'm pretty sure they're athletes and I don't want their chances to be ruined. I called a couple of family members because I was traumatized, and they agreed that it was wrong, but they said if our room was clean, it wouldn't be an issue. It still would have been a problem though, because I don't want it to be on the internet looking like that. So, am I the asshole? Sorry if this is incoherent. I will answer as many as I can. Okay, so to me, I don't think you're the asshole, because who are they to come into your room? You know, I could see you have some really close friends. They get messed up one night and they're like, hey, I got an idea for a really bomb-ass TikTok. And then they do the tour of your room. But without your permission and without asking first. And yeah, that's just not cool. So no, I don't think you're the asshole. Maybe they'll learn from it. I hope. Goodness. Okay, this is by particular_flyer. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend I understood why his fiancée is so disappointed that he proposed to her at the gym? I don't know, is that really bad? Okay, so I, 27 female, was excited when my best friend, 27 male, told me he had proposed to his girlfriend, 29 female. He said he had the proposal on video, and I was so confused when the video started out in a woman's gym. What the crack? Ooh. When I saw his girlfriend on an exercise machine in the video, I had a bad feeling. She looked so shocked, and she said yes. She only looked happy for like 2 minutes, and the rest of the time she gave an insincere smile. My best friend expressed frustration that his fiancée had confessed she wasn't happy with the proposal after he asked her why she looked so sad. He was venting to me and asked me how I feel if the guy proposed to me while I was at the gym. I guess he really expected me to agree with him, but I said I would hate it. I said I don't want to be proposed to when I'm sweaty and stinky at the gym. I basically explained to him that I understood why she was disappointed. My best friend called me shallow and a bad friend. Am I the asshole? I don't think so. Like, this guy, no wonder she said no. Probably had nothing to do with the gym. It's just his stank-ass personality, if you ask me. Not cool. Not cool at all. You're not the asshole. Scuba Dog 123456 wrote, "Am I the asshole for claiming a campsite that was first come, first serve? Am I the asshole for thinking that a clearly marked free camping site would be considered occupied and unavailable if my niece's car is occupying the site?" So here's the story. My sweet niece, who is an introvert, occupied a camping site the evening she arrived at the campground. According to the rules, the sites are first come, first serve. Therefore, she arrived, occupied the site, slept in her car with her doggie, and was visiting the lake with the rest of us, who all had our own sites with our own trailers. So we were then informed by one of our family members that a couple had driven around the campground, was unsuccessful at finding a spot, pulled into the camping spot where my niece had the car and literally set up shop. All, and I mean all, of their camping gear was set up. Tent, table, boxes of firewood, sleeping equipment, etc. We quickly informed them that the site was occupied by our family member, who was a private person and had her belongings in the car so they wouldn't get stolen. The woman, and I quote, said, "You're not validating my reality. The site looked unoccupied, and so we thought that we could just share it." I then responded with, "No, ma'am. An occupied site requires a car in the site. It does not mean you can just pull up and start using a site simply because a person doesn't have their stuff out." So that's the story. There are a few other details, but they're not important. I just want to know if I'm the asshole for standing up for my niece and the site she clearly occupied with her car and the things in her car. I would say no, you're not the asshole. That person, I guarantee, she's a spoiled rotten brat. She's with her boyfriend, and she's never been told no in her life, so she just figured that's going to be her campsite. Good on you for giving her a wake-up call, seriously. Okay, hold on. Okay. This is by gamer Harunite. Harunyt. Am I the asshole for putting googly eyes on all the food in the fridge to prevent snacking? Oh no. Okay. My roommate eats everything. I'll buy a pack of cheese sticks and they're gone by morning. I asked nicely, then labeled my stuff. No change, so I got creative. I bought a pack of stick-on googly eyes and put them on everything. Milk, ice, leftover spaghetti eyes. Judging you, even taped one to a banana. It worked. He said it creeped him out. And he stopped eating my stuff. Now he says I'm being passive aggressive and creating an emotionally hostile refrigerator. Oh, am I the asshole for turning the fridge into a surveillance horror movie to stop my food from vanishing? No. No, you are not the asshole, and thank you for making me laugh today. That is hilarious. You're making a hostile environment in the fridge for me. Buy your own stuff. Quit eating other people's things. We're not your mom. We're not here to pick up your laundry, or do your dishes, or provide you food. Move on, Brett. Whatever. That is hilarious. Oh, I wish I would have thought about that, but I don't know if it would have had, the same reaction. But that to me is ingenious. Good job. Good job. Good on you. This is by Tawalking. T.A. Walking. Am I the asshole for setting an outdoor workout on my smartwatch while I walk to the hospital to visit my sick dad? So I was told my dad was very sick and in the hospital. The hospital he was at was about 1.5 miles from my house, and I don't have a car, so when I found out, I walked there. Anytime I walk anywhere, I log it as a workout on my watch. Usually it's to the store or convenience store, but I always log it. But I knew I was going to walk, so I took the few seconds to set a workout on my watch. I share my workouts with my brother, he shares them with me. I guess we are smart watch friends. When I got there, he saw the notification I completed a workout. He asked about it, and I told him it was the walk here to the hospital. He got mad, asking how could I think about setting a workout on my watch when Dad was very sick. I told him it was just what I do when I go walk anywhere. It's a reflex to set it when I go anywhere on foot. So am I the asshole for starting an outdoor workout on my smartwatch before I walk to see my sick dad in the hospital? Okay, I kind of get what she's saying. Like, wow, I can't believe this wasn't the first thing you even thought about it. You're worried about your workout. If you're gonna do the steps, might as well, keep track of it. You you don't have to interrupt your everyday life and your everyday cycle because something really bad is happening in your life. It's better to stick to what you have going on, I think, than to just meander this way and that. Like, to keep a regular cycle is awesome. That'll keep you more on track than not. Just make sure you breathe correctly if anything does happen post what they're saying there, but I don't think you're the asshole. Like, had you taken a few hours doing so many miles, I could see that, but tracking your steps to the hospital to me is not being the asshole. So, no, sir or ma'am, whoever you may be, I do not think that you are the asshole. This is by plenty_tap 9799. Am I the asshole? I do not want a service dog to participate in my wedding. Throwaway. I'm 28 female and am getting married in the spring. I've asked one of my best friends to be one of my bridesmaids. She has a service dog for PTSD. I respect her dog and glad she has it in her life. My fiance and I don't particularly care for dogs, and we've decided we don't want her service dog in our photos or in the ceremony. When I asked her, she got excited and immediately said that her dog could wear something to match the rest of the bridesmaids. That's when I explained that the dog could come to the wedding but wouldn't be an active participant in the day. We don't want it in photos or in the ceremony. It could go to photos, but not be in them. It'll be off to the side for 10 to 15 minutes of the ceremony. In preliminary discussion with our photographer, we've brought this up. She did not take it well, called me an asshole and a beast, and it was not a constructive conversation after the ask. She hasn't accepted my offer to be a bridesmaid, but also hasn't declined formally. Am I the asshole? I don't think so. Okay, so PTSD, that can cause anxiety and different stresses. Hopefully she's got something else to help her through that. I mean, does she have the dog when she takes a bath? That's totally different. It's not in a setting where a lot of people are or whatever, but yes, if she's blind, that's totally different, but still, you can tuck your dog behind you, behind the other bridesmaids, to where the dog is not seen, but it's still there within reach of her where you won't see it. So it should be okay. Yeah, don't be petty. This is a once over sort of thing, and yes, it's probably the most important day of your life at this moment. but not forever. I don't know, I feel like you're being a butthole, not really an asshole, and hopefully you guys can work it out. Like, think constructively and not critical. She can have it just behind her where you can't see it, but it's still there for her where she won't freak out or stress out. So, yeah. Let it go. Don't be the butthole, but you're not the asshole. I mean, things could have been way worse, I think. This is by Magdi983. Am I the asshole for asking my friend to pay me back for food I cooked for her dinner party? What? She should have bought the food for you to cook. I, 29 female, love cooking and often host dinners for friends. Recently, my friend, 31 female, asked me to cook for a party she was hosting at her house because she loves my food and wanted to impress her guests. I agreed but told her I would need her to cover the cost of ingredients since it wasn't my event and she seemed fine with it. After the party, I gave her the receipt, around $150, and that's just ingredients. I didn't take any money for myself. She said she didn't expect it to cost that much and that I should cover it as a gift because we're friends and I enjoy cooking. I said no, and now she's calling me tacky for nickel and diming her over dinner. Am I the asshole for asking her to pay me back? No, and like you said, you're not even charging for your services. You're just charging for the ingredients. Had she taken her friends out to a restaurant, whether it be fancy or not, could even be Denny's, that is going to be way more money than $150. So she needs to quit being tacky and pay for that ish. That's just redonkulous. You're not the asshole. She's the one being petty. Some people's kids. This is by Lanky-Studio 5874. Am I the asshole for telling my dad's wife I'm not visiting their new house? I, female 22, have a rocky relationship with my dad, 54 male, and his wife, 53 female. They've been together since I was 8 and got married when I was 18. She made my life hell constantly trying to undermine my mother's parenting and getting mad when I didn't call her mom. Ugh. Recently, they moved into a new house about 30 minutes from my mother's 51 female house where I'm currently living due to financial issues. Now they are wanting me to visit them, and I keep telling them no because I'm busy with work. His wife called me the other day and said I should be visiting my father. I snapped at her saying she and my dad nearly missed my college graduation back in May of this year. Oh, it's tit for tat, is it? My dad says I'm the asshole for snapping at her and I could have handled it better. My mother is on my side and she says I shouldn't have to bend over backwards for people who were barely there for me growing up. Oh, touche. No, I mean, maybe you're being a little petty with the tit for tat, but at the same time, no. I don't feel like you're the asshole, and sounds like this biche has been getting away with this stuff for quite some time, so no, your dad needs to recognize and get his shit in order. And put his wife in her place. She needs not to deal with you. You've known her since you're 8. This is 10 years later. You aren't clicking. It's not her place. This is by Classic Earth 7924. Am I the asshole for putting my hand over my sister-in-law's camera at my own birthday dinner after I told her no filming? I, 29 female, had a small birthday dinner last weekend with my husband, 31 male. Sister-in-law Lena, 27 female. Mother-in-law and 2 friends at a normal but nice place. Lena's an influencer. She films literally everything. Plates, forks, people, breathing. 3 days before I wrote in the family chat, please don't film me. Food, room is fine, just not my face. She said, gotcha. We sit down and within like 10 minutes her phone is up. I say, quiet. Please don't point it at me. She goes, you look great, it's just vibes. Husband backs me. She said no. Lena rolls her eyes, lowers it for maybe 2 minutes. Then the cake comes. Little sparkler staff singing. Lena stands and points the camera right in my face like, birthday girl reveal. I put my hand over the lens and said, stop. I didn't grab the phone or touch her, just covered the camera for a second. She snaps that I ruined her shot, and this is her job. Mother-in-law says to let it go for one night. I said, that's it. My night, actually. It got awkward fast. Server was right there. I felt embarrassed. My husband tried to change the subject, but Lena kept muttering about how she had to scrap everything. I even paid for my own dessert. Long story, and we left pretty quick. Next morning, Lena texts that I humiliated her and made her look unprofessional in front of everyone. Mother-in-law says I should have moved seats if I didn't want to be in frame. Husband said, my boundary is fair, but maybe I made a scene by doing it during the song when eyes were already on me. Whatever, don't marry that dude, seriously. She's posted me before without asking, coworkers mentioned it. I've asked her to blur, remove it. Turns into drama, which is why I set the boundary in writing before dinner. Why I might be the asshole? Public place. I did physically block her shot and, yeah, it was during the song. I could have stood up and turned away or something, but also, I don't want to be online against my will, especially on my own birthday. I don't know. Am I the asshole? Well, I don't think so, and it's not like you grabbed her camera and threw it. You just covered the lens. And your fiancé taking her side. Guess what? After you get married, it is not going to get any better. Wherever his favoritism lies, and you're not it, it's going to always remain there. Take it from me. But yeah, you're not the asshole, girl. That's just redonkulous. Don't let them gaslight you and make you feel like you're crazy. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to tell me what flavor of smoothie she wanted? And this is from OK-T183. I, 24 male, stopped on my way home to pick up a smoothie for my 23 female girlfriend, Evangeline. She's pregnant and is craving smoothies, so I thought it would be a nice surprise for her. She always drinks the strawberry banana smoothie, so that's what I got for her. But when I got home and gave it to her, she didn't want it. She said that she doesn't feel like bananas and asked me to get her a different flavor. I asked her what kind she wanted, and she said she didn't know. I told her that I need to know what flavor. Evangeline said, just get me what I like. Then I told her that I don't know what flavor she likes other than strawberry banana. She started to get frustrated and said that I know the other one she likes. I had zero clue. She's never asked me for anything other than strawberry banana. I repeated myself multiple times, and I don't know what she wants, and she started to cry and said that I was pressuring her too much over a smoothie. She's been in a bad mood ever since. She's barely spoken to me all evening. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to tell me what flavor of smoothie she wanted? I don't think so, and had you gone and picked something and brought it back, she might still be playing these games and be like, That's not the one I wanted. Do you have enough money to buy one of every kind? I don't. So, I don't know. She needs to be open and share what she wants and needs, because you're not a mind reader, and like you said, it's always been strawberry banana or banana strawberry. I don't think you're the asshole. This one is by Belt Classic. Am I the asshole if I don't clarify that I am a type 2 diabetic? I, 30 female, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes last year. Through a program at my job, I can get Dexcom continuous monitors for free as long as I participate, so why not? The people I don't have to tell. Old people who have Dexcoms and type 1 diabetes of any age. They see it and know immediately what it is. The old people typically don't know there's a difference between type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, but the type 1 diabetes usually assume I'm also type 1 diabetes because of my age. I recently had someone I see regularly notice my Dexcom, and I noticed they seem more interested in me afterwards, talking about different things, favorite snacks and CGMs, late lunches and feeling shaky, etc. Eventually, they asked me something about my insulin pump. I clarified that I didn't have one. They seemed shocked and asked what I do then. I told them, well, I'm pretty well controlled with diet. I made massive changes and Mounjaro. They then got snide and accused me of being an asshole by misleading them and pretending I was a type 1 diabetic, and that I should have clarified that I have the diabetes that I did to myself, which is different than having diabetes done to you like a type 1 diabetic. They are avoiding me now and also pointing out to people that I am type 2 diabetic, not type 1. Now I'm questioning if I'm supposed to explain that I'm type 2 diabetic specifically so that I don't accidentally end up masquerading as a type 1 diabetic? What the hell? Nope. I don't think so. That person sounds like a freaking drama queen, and no, you are not the asshole. How are you pretending to be like type 1 diabetic? This person seems very irritating, if you ask me. Man. This is by Lonely-Big7902. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my mom wear white to my wedding, even though she claims it's her last chance to feel beautiful? Okay. I just turned 23 and I'm getting married in October. My mom and I have always had what I would refer to as a rocky relationship, especially since I got engaged. She's been oddly competitive, commenting on my body, comparing our rings like we are in competition, saying things like, "This day is as much about me as it is about you." I honestly thought that she was joking until she showed me the dress that she bought. A white, floor-length gown that looks exactly like a bridal dress. And I told her, flat out, she cannot wear that because, in my opinion, it doesn't match the occasion. She got quiet, then burst into tears, saying, "It's her, and this was an opportunity to feel beautiful before getting old, and that I'm selfish for letting her have this one thing." I felt really bad about this, so I also offered to go shopping with her to find something elegant and more appropriate. And all of a sudden, her countenance changed, and then she told me I was controlling and ungrateful. What gave me peace was that my fiancé backed me up, as did my maid of honor. Now my mom is threatening not to come to the wedding, and my aunt says I should just let her have this to avoid drama. I don't think I'm wrong for drawing a line here, but now part of me wonders if I'm the asshole. Sister, I don't think so, and if anybody's causing drama, it's your mom and people like her sister that are continuing to allow this to happen need to just back up. That's the reason she is the way she is today. And I don't know, I might be the asshole by saying, if she doesn't knock it off, uninvite her to the wedding. Keep her from going, because if she's gonna disrespect you and be an asshole like this, like, no, hell no, girl. That ain't your problem, that's her. It is so tacky to wear white to somebody else's wedding. Give me a frickin' break. Man. This is by Kazehaya _ Kun. Am I the asshole? Friend yelled at me because I thought she was behaving weird. Am I the asshole? I, a 32-year-old male, have been friends with K, 32-year-old female, since post-graduation. None of us has any romantic feelings towards the other. We are close friends with an understanding where we can be blunt and honest about stuff between us without hard feelings. Yesterday we celebrated Kay's birthday with a few of her colleagues, all girls. It was my first time meeting anyone from her workplace. She wore exaggerated makeup and was behaving strange, like she was forcing herself to be this chatterbox gossip loving person, being loud and forcing laughter at minor jokes. Even her work friends were exchanging glances on occasion. The whole thing made me uncomfortable. This was a big change in behavior from when we were with our other friends from college, or just the two of us, when she's quiet, caring, and an understanding friend. Long story short, when we were returning home, it was just the two of us. I asked her if she is okay, and that acting strange today was quite weird, and that the makeup style you have today doesn't suit you, and that way you were behaving doesn't seem like you. Here is where she got angry and said, the below, in a loud voice, "What do you really know about me? Why do you have to comment on my makeup or how I behave?" I was kind of taken aback and told her that she has changed. She said nothing after that, and I also went quiet. Nothing was said the rest of the way. It's been complete silence between us since then. Can anyone advise me what is going on, and how do I talk to her again? TLDR, a friend yelled at me after party because I thought she wore too much makeup and was behaving differently. Update. I've read all the comments, and as I had felt, commenting on her appearance on her birthday was a bad move. Already sent an apology, waiting for a reply. But regarding her nature, I know how she was behaving was not like her because, 1, we have been friends for more than a decade. 2, I know most of her family and friends. My mom knows her mom. I know her siblings and her childhood friends, and how she is with our college group is the same she has been with her family and friends. 3, she herself criticizes exaggerated makeup. So maybe she tied one on because it's her birthday, but it's her birthday. It's her party. She can cry if she wants to. She can wear poopy ass makeup if she wants to. She could be 3 sheets to the wind if she wants to. Just let her be. I don't even know why this is a big deal, really. What the crack is going on? Alright. Am I the asshole for ignoring my boyfriend for a few hours over his cheating message? Oh, look, they removed it. Hello, yellow worshiper. Your post has been removed. Read the following information carefully and completely. No relationship / sex posts? What? They do not allow posts where the central conflict is about romantic relationships, dating, sex, and similar topics. Are you serious? Yeah, this is crazy. Wow. This is by Abbreviations Fair 886. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she wasn't always the chosen one? Before my brothers and I were born, my mom had a child with an old boyfriend, Penny. Her boyfriend Penny's bio, Dad didn't stick around. My mom then met my dad when Penny was 3 and they got married. My dad adopted Penny. My mom then went on to have me and my brothers with our dad. Growing up, Penny was always the apple of my dad's eye. He gave us all attention, but he always went out of his way to make it equal. Around the time she entered her teens, Penny would make the joke, "Dad was stuck with you guys, but he chose me," or refer to herself as the chosen one. My brothers and parents always thought it was hilarious. I thought it was obnoxious. If our brothers and I were ever discussing what traits we got or didn't get from Dad, Penny would break in with, "I didn't get anything from him except his last name because I'm the chosen one." Now, we're all adults and Penny still trots that out from time to time. Recently, it came up when my siblings and I were out with our parents for drinks. One of my brothers has a newish girlfriend, so she wasn't aware of Penny's store. Penny was telling it, shoving in that she's the chosen one. I admit I was a little drunk and said, "Chosen by our dad, but you weren't chosen by your first dad, huh?" Oh, shit. Penny got a hurt look on her face. My brothers told me that was uncalled for. Even the new girlfriend was looking at me like I was a douche. I said this story is just getting old. We've all heard it. And it's a little ridiculous. My boyfriend ended up calling us an Uber and getting me out of there. Well, of course, word's gotten back to our parents and they're pissed at me, saying I was rude. I said Penny was being obnoxious. Am I the asshole? I think this one is by Chili Tomato Cup Noodle. Am I the asshole for not inviting my estranged brother to my wedding? For context, my brother, 26 male, and I, 31 female, have been estranged for years. He has always been arrogant, self-absorbed, and unapologetic about past behavior. Growing up, our mother constantly played favorites. He was the golden child, and he thrived in that role. The last time we woke, we had a major argument. Sorry. He has never shown any remorse, and I've made peace with not having a relationship with him. I, 31 female, am a foreign MD worker in the US and getting married to my American fiancé, 33 male, in early 2026. My family lives in my home country, and so we are finalizing our guest list as it will be a destination wedding. My mother insists on letting my brother come along when she found out that he did not know I was already getting married. As mothers do, she then insisted that I invite him to the wedding, not sure if this was his or purely her idea, even asking me to provide an invitation letter to help his chances of getting a tourist visa. I respectfully told her no. Aside from our personal history, the reality is he's still a student with very few ties to home, so I doubt he would even qualify for a visa on his own. My parents, who already have valid visas and have visited me before, offered to be his guarantor and that my invitation letter would help him out. Personally, I don't want him to access this time or have access to me, and I refuse to let him benefit from me. My mom argued that he could stay at a separate hotel and that she just wanted the whole family together. I just want the whole family together. I explained that I don't feel comfortable with him being at my wedding and that I don't want to deal with that stress on what should be a special day. I told her that by insisting on his presence, she was only reinforcing my feelings, that she prioritizes his feelings over mine. She kept pressing, saying that relatives would talk badly if my brother wasn't invited. I finally told her that if she insisted, then she could also consider herself uninvited. That led to a blow-up where she accused me of being ungrateful. Us Asians are big on indebtedness to family, laugh out loud, even reminding me that she and my father helped pay for my exams. Expensive as an international medical graduate, she said the least I could do was grant her this one wish. I then exasperatedly told her that I would think about it. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite my brother? Is there a reasonable compromise here, or should I stand my ground? Girl, this day is about you, not your mother, so I think she just really needs to get over it. Yeah, you're not the asshole. She's just doing the same as before. He's the golden child. He should get everything he wants. And who's to say once he gets here, he ain't gonna take off? Who knows? But it's your day. If you don't want him there because you're worried about drama or whatever else might happen that day, don't feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad. Like I said, it's your day, girl, and your mom just needs to shush. Take a back seat and be quiet, ma'am. Right. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for wanting my brother-in-law to move out? Context: my husband, 25 male, and I, 24 female, got a house when I was 6 months pregnant. June 2023, after living at his mom's house for 2 years. I had my brother, 21 male now, move in because I needed a supervised person in the home at the time of birth due to marijuana in my system. Stupid, I know, never again. He wanted his mom to be that person. I went into immediate PPD after birth, so I was paranoid she would take my baby. It was a hard no. Go down the line, December 2023, I already had my daughter, and the night I got proposed to, my husband gets a call from my sister-in-law, 25 female, saying we need to pick her and her 2 kids up because she got in a fight with brother-in-law. Of course, I'm going to say, let's go help. So we go, and they are literally having a brawl. Somehow my husband starts yelling at my sister-in-law because she went insane, like literally, so we had to pick up my brother-in-law instead to de-escalate the situation. We told him he's allowed to stay a few nights till we figure stuff out. Well, same night my husband's mom came over because she couldn't handle my sister-in-law. He told me his brother would be staying for a few weeks, not even a month. 2 years later, he's still here. No rent. Ask for him to get groceries every now and then. Up until last week, I've been getting on my husband's ass about it because I'm pregnant again and he got my baby's room. My husband told me he's now paying $300 a month. So am I the asshole for wanting him out even though my brother's here still? P.S. My brother has been paying his part since he moved in. Also some advice because OMG, I am so over this. Girl, you are not the asshole. He is well overstayed his time. It was only supposed to be a few weeks. Here it is a couple years later. I totally understand what you're talking about and what you're going through because, girl, that is crazy. no, you're not the asshole. He needs to go. He needs to get back to the baby's room, and yeah, your brother needs to relinquish his balls and take his home back. Yes, your brother's there because of what you said earlier about the mayor with JJ or whatever, but it's your home, and it's not just up to him. And don't let them take over, and don't let them take priority over you. You should be first, not him. Am I the asshole for banning my wife's Disney divorced friends' plugins from our house? This is by AMT Cannon. My wife's friend Melissa, 49 female, is staying with us for a few weeks while she sorts her life out. We have a large home and are very happy to have house guests. She's leaving her husband after 25 years of marriage because she wants to move to LA and work at Disneyland. This sounds like the plot of a bad sitcom, but I'm afraid it's real. Both she and her husband are equally culpable for the failure of their marriage and really bring out the worst in one another. Their relationship has been in a state for as long as I've known them. The problem is Melissa showed up with an arsenal of room scents and sprays and plugins. The smell teenage girl with a side of forever chemicals ode to Disneyland has completely taken over the hallway. The family bathroom, my office, and even down 2 flights of stairs into the foyer, drawing room, and living room. It's strong, it's nasty, and it's made of and smells like all of the chemicals that we avoid. Sidebar, we've been cleansing ourselves of chemical nasties and have curated our home to smell clean and subtle. That's part of what makes it feel like home. Now it just smells like teen spirit. Melissa is genuinely lovely and in a vulnerable spot, and I don't want to make her feel unwelcome, but it's our house, and this is something we've been intentional about. However, outside of our personal feelings about plugins, it feels really out there to rock up in someone else's home and decide to bring your own plug-in scents to totally change the smell of the house. I mentioned how strong the smell was, assuming it was a room spray, and how it was overtaking every room. She said, "Yeah, the plugins are pretty strong." I was so shocked I asked her to remove them. I opened up with a sensitive ask, "Hey, those room sprays are pretty strong. Would you mind keeping the door closed if you're using them?" And spiraled a bit when I heard her say, "Plug-ins, plural." My wife told me I was being an asshole for making her uncomfortable when she is going through a lot, and that I could bitch to her about it was over the line to ask her to stop. I was incredulous that she thought it was okay to change the scent of our house. Am I the asshole? Here, like my wife says, I feel pretty justified in my complaint. I don't think so. Keep your stank to yourself. Keep your room closed. Why would it be open anyways? So there is an edit. To address the frequently asked questions, the plugins are already gone. The conversation pivoted from, "Could you please keep the door closed when you spray the room?" to, "Can you please remove the plugins?" She apologized and removed them immediately. I also spotted after writing this post that the intake vent for the central air was about 12 feet from where one of the plugins was. This explains how the whole house got gunked up so quickly. Smell still hasn't gone 24 hours later. In part of this conversation where the plugins were revealed, my wife informs me that my facial expressions were all over the place, a mix of shock and disgust. Ugh. I maintained a friendly but firm tone, and when I asked her to remove them, explained my reasoning clearly. I capped the conversation by saying I hated the smell of them, which was unkind and deeply unhelpful. In my defense, genuinely, I do hate the smell, and I was so thoroughly flabbergasted that an adult would think this is okay to do, that I made an unguarded comment. Well, hey, nobody realized that the vent was there and that it was caducing the whole place, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no harm, no foul, I would think. Anywho's, let's go to our first music break, shall we? We have King Cinnamon with Ale Umo Edarella, as well as Fantastique. We also have Hosni Bronx, who is originally from Jamaica and the Bronx of New York, with Dance as a Lion. And then we have Nonye Doria featuring Chris with Paper Loving by Africa. King Cinnamon, I believe, is from Ghana, or the other way around. Either way, let's get into this, and I'll see you here back in just a little bit.
We swap on the beat.
Can you get a chineke mapana limo bundenje mono? Can you get onye uwa imapana limo bundenje mono? Limo, alime kerelo, alime kerelo, alimo state, alime kerelo, alime kerelo, alimo state, alime kerelo, alime kerelo. Democracy merielo, ndime merielo, alime kerelo, alime kerelo, alimo state, alime kerelo, alime kerelo. Democracy merielo, ndime merielo. Enegama making head ya. Ebere marama, over no marama. First lady marama, her excellency. Emeka idio hamma, emeka idio hamma. Omenka unanya idio hamma, omenka unanya wa. Emeka, make him body mouth. Emeka, make him body mouth. Emeka put on no boy. Oh yeah. Wa wulelo. Emeka put on no boy. Welcome adima. We me wan potro. Emeka, make him body mouth. Emeka, make him body mouth. Ndem jejemba. Jembo, Ndem Jemano, Deputy Governor Mosque Chilike, Gerard Ronna Karaka, Wokomadima, Porabo, Deputy Governor Willie Deregima, Alukuta Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onya Jemano, Stanley Wamuche Karaka, Stanley Onya Babamba, President Good Life Foundation Chilike. President General, Senate Group of Companies, President General, Financial Matter Karaka, Alo Were Diregima, Alambise Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onya Jemano, Franklin Nejishiro, Meme Arabido Hotels, ABC Transport Karaka. Alo were diregima, Alambise diregima, Alimo State diregima, Ala Nigeria maragima, Uchonya go chandem, Honorable Mokomadima, Onye Horo Nyakele Yao, Mawugi, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Njigari Chinala, Imo State, Mawugi. Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Mini Garizonala, Imo State, Alo were Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, the German, Orange Drugs Limited, Jisa Anthony Ifani Chukun to business and Ishirike, Ikangandi Chele, pride of his people. Most outstanding one, Okoma Marama, Iborabo, Alo were Diregima, Alita Diregima, Alimo State Diregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Honorable Jobagu Shirike, Honorable Bina Shirike, Jerala Wasa Shirike, Kotuko Kereke Shirike, Oka Hube Shirike, Intina Benina Shirike, Onyamana construction rock woko madema ikaraka onye shiwore hebora ni etemu imarama o woko mande jemba woko madema ikaraka wis popule ibo felamo onye mana pito akana kompa ikaraka eziwa mama Mr. Ludwiriwa woko meje jemba CEO Elizabeth Ventures Karaka Democracy Merielo Ndime Merielo Democracy Merielo Ndime Merielo Alime Gerelo Alime Gerelo Thank God I'm from Imo State Emeka has come to rejuvenate Imo State, make you jubilate, make you celebrate. Emeka shipwen be say, this one no be say them say. Emeka has come to rejuvenate. Imo State, celebrate, make you jubilate. Ala mekele His Excellency, Achikudenwa. Mekele kwa His Excellency Dr. Hakim. Yemaka Right Honorable PDK. Mekele kwa Right Honorable Jones Oyereri. Ala mekele Senator Onyebuchi Mr. Empowerment. Lekele kwa Right Honorable Emeka Chinedu. Umo mimo lowali bia meziena alimo. Alima de la ma.
Cliffito.
Why Babylon, you want our they come from Jah. Dance, dance around this place, Rasta. Dance, dance, it's our chance to unite and chant the word. People in love, people in love, people in love, people in love. Yeah. Humanity, protect humanity. We have to save people from poverty. We don't want your frustration. We don't want your ambush, Babylon.
We swap on the beat.
Like my water bam bam. King Cinnamon. Oh yeah, baddest. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Put your brother, baby, gather something. Come on closer, baby, gather 19. I know you better, but I am the king. Your backside bigger than Bombay. Baby girl, broncotum. I like the way you want your broncotum. Baby girl, broncotum. I like the way you want your broncotum. Jamaica, Ghana, shout out to the ladies in Asia, Nigeria, South Africa. Say me love you. Please me, baby. Yeah. Turn up from you. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Give me love, give me love. Show me love, show me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. Me want you, me love you. Give me love, give me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. Hey, please me, baby. Oh. Yeah, turn up from you. Yeah, take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's ball, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Shake your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. King Cinnamon. You know what I'm saying?
We swap on the mix. Lift it all.
She know me treat her better than her man. But she a worry about the millions. You love me for true, but certain things in life I say I want to do. Hey, so you say me need to understand that you are made for a money man. But if you can't love me now, don't love me later, when my later is much greater. proves that you love the paper, my paper.
Boy, me gon' love you now, me gon' love you later. When your later is much greater. Cause me a one-man trafficator, yeah. They say I love him, but I love you more. He took me shopping sprees and bought me finer, but I crown it more. You're the one that gave me proper loving. He might have all the money, everything to satisfy me vanity, but in my heart I knew you were the only one that I would be loving from now till the end of time.
Don't love me later, when my later is much greater. It only proves that you love the paper, my paper.
Boy, me gon' love you now, me gon' love you later. When your later is much greater. Cause me a one-man trafficator, yeah.
Girl, I know you want stability, but that no mean say you fi sell your soul for vanity, no. Bright lights, fast cars at the city, and the fast lane make you lose your sanity. But me can't believe you sell yourself so short. Forget the money you will make, man, break your parts. But your life make your choice, because me now make you break my heart, no. If you can't love me now, don't love me later. When my later is much greater, it only proves that you love the paper, my paper.
Boy, me gon' love you now, me gon' love you later. When your later is much greater. Cause me a one-man trafficator, yeah.
If you can't love me now, don't love me later. When my later is much greater, it only proves that you love the paper, my paper.
Boy, me gon' love you now, me gon' love you later. When your later is much greater. Cause me a one-man trafficator, yeah.
I wanted to learn the hard way, so I'm taking you to lover school. You want money just for party, girl. You take me for fool.
Every piece of my heart I gave it away to you. Why don't you understand, babe? What I feel for you is true. So
If you can't love me now, don't love me later. When my later is much greater, it only proves that you love the paper, my paper.
boy, me gon' love you now, me gon' love you later. When your later is much greater. Cause me a one-man trafficator, yeah. Now, trafficator,
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. First hour we did Am I the Asshole? I kind of want to do humanoid encounters at this point, but before we go there, of course, I forgot to do the quote of the hour, so let's see here. So for the first hour, it is one of the problems with an hourglass figure is that the sands of time always end up in the lower half. That is so true. Quote 2 for hour 2. We cough to clear our throats, we sigh to clear our hearts. I feel that. Or feel that. That's pretty on point there. Right, so, kind of kicking off from where we had started before. Humanoid close encounter cases for the Nordic countries, part 14. The Man in the Cockpit. Fagerheim, Western Norway, December 27th, 1963. A 73-year-old man submitted an account to UFO Norway about an incident that occurred in 1963 when he was 15 years old. The sighting left a deep impression on him, and he had often thought about it. Finally, he decided to tell a UFO organization. He was a teenage boy at the time and had been out walking in the village where he lived one evening in late December. It was about 8 p.m., and he had come to a place they called Fagerheim Hill, which was above a lake. When he reached the top of the hill, he saw a cigar-shaped object coming towards him from the water. It flew at a low altitude and came as close as 30 meters, 100 feet from the boy. He did not think he was imagining it because when the craft came from behind some trees, they partially obscured it. As the craft approached, the boy could see that the cockpit was brightly lit. It was like a glass dome, and inside he could see the silhouette of a tall, thin man sitting in front of a lighted instrument panel. He could only see the man from the side, mostly, and the craft flew by the boy without making any sound at all. And when it had passed, he could see the back, and there was a red light coming from an exhaust of some kind. The boy pinched his arm to see if he was dreaming, and he wasn't, but the strangest thing was that the experience lasted about an hour. It should have only lasted a minute or so. He didn't understand anything. Later, over the years, the man told several people about this incident, but no one ever believed him. Source: UFO number 1, 2021. The man who shot at a UFO. This is Iso mid-Finland, winter 1971. During a UFO wave in mid and northern Finland during 1971, the three brothers Kalolompi, who lived in a fairly isolated area near Isosiots mountain, reported seeing UFOs on several occasions. In the winters, they worked as snowplow operators, clearing the snow off local roads, and at one point, they were blowing a public road with their tractor when a UFO was seen to hover nearby. It passed them again and again. They started to feel threatened by this behavior, and then the oldest brother, Heino, promised to shoot at the UFOs next time he saw them. They were all avid hunters and somewhat aggressive in nature. One day, the younger brother, Tuomo Kalolompi, was clearing the snow off a road not far from their home when a UFO landed near him. Tuomo panicked and jumped out of the pickup truck and tractor and ran home, and when he got inside, he shouted to his older brother, Heino, "Now those devils are here again," and then hid under the bed. But Heino was not scared. Instead, he was angry and grabbed his large caliber hunting rifle and ran out wearing only his underwear, despite the winter cold, and began to shoot at the landed UFO. He managed to get several shots off before the UFO took off. He thought he hit the craft, but was not completely sure. The two older brothers later searched the spot since they were convinced that the powerful rifle would have damaged the craft, but they could not find any debris from the UFO. In the following years, additional details became known. Reportedly, inside the UFO, there was a man who had been allegedly abducted. During a seminar in Putasjärvi, 1997, Finnish UFO researcher Tapani Kuivula was approached by a man who told a fascinating story. Reindeer herder Unto Yenonen claimed to have been abducted on several occasions. And this time he was aboard the craft that the brothers shot at. While inside, he could see the event from another angle, when the brothers were shooting at the UFO and apparently hit it several times. The aliens reacted with what can be described similar to panic. "Why are they shooting at us?" they asked Unto. "Because we are so primitive," he answered. Here, some sources also suggest that after this Untu lost consciousness because he was struck by a bullet, but he survived because the aliens apparently cured him. Untu Leononen described the aliens as of humanoid type, about 1 to 6 meter tall, which is 5 foot 3 inches, thin and wearing dark-fitting coveralls and headgear. Later the same day, the UFO returned to the home of the Kalolompi brothers and floated above the backyard. 3 slender aliens emerged from the craft, and one of them seemed to know everything about the brothers. The aliens told the brothers that shooting was extremely dangerous and that they should respect people and nature. It was also unsettling that they seemed to know a lot of details about the brothers' personal life, but the most shocking information they told the brothers was, "You are going to die quite soon." It did not seem to be a threat or punishment for what they did before, just a straight fact and warning for their unhealthy living, which probably involved a lot of drinking. The brothers did not feel that the aliens were menacing during the encounter. They were just wise and gentle. When the conversation ended, 2 of the aliens went back to the UFO, but the third one floated in the opposite direction and disappeared into the woods. And a few years later, all 3 brothers were dead as a result of strokes and seizures, even the youngest one, who was only in his late 20s. Unto Leononen, the abductee who was inside the UFO, became a well-known healer with other psychic talents. He is convinced that he received this healing gift from the aliens. Some of the facts of the case emerged later from Uolu, who was cousin with Kalolompi brothers, and the sources Tapani, Waburu, and Stories Lost. The next story is craft with humanoids spotted by 2 cops. This was in Rocky, middle of Sweden, late September or early October 1980. Unfortunately, many UFO or humanoid sightings are never reported. People are afraid of being called liars, weirdos, tinfoil hats, or having their mental balance questioned. The stigma for this is even higher for police or military personnel, as they can risk losing their jobs. In this story that we will take a closer look at, 2 police officers observed something unexplainable. It also took place in a region that had several other strange UFO and humanoid sightings just a few years earlier. It was a clear and dark Friday or Saturday evening in the fall, and 2 police officers were driving in their patrol car on Road 711 towards Brocke in the southern part of province of Jämtland. Neither of them wrote down the exact date, time, month, or year because they did not want to report what they saw. Everything was only told much later, and the story began with Police Constable Bertil Elfstrom sitting at the wheel of the police car, and in the passenger seat next to him was Police Inspector Eke Countryside Magnuson. The road through the countryside was very deserted this time at night, and when they came out of a curve and then down a hill just before the intersection to Gimdalen, Magnuson saw a brightly lit object about 100 to 150 meters, 110 to 164 yards from the car, a bit out in the field, and he then told his colleague to stop the car to get a better look, but Elfstrom did not stop the car, whereupon Magnuson shouted, "Stop the car for fuck's sake," while taking the camera out of the glove compartment. As the police car slowed down, Ike Magnuson could see a dark object with a brightly lit glass dome on top, and he could make out that there were 2 people inside. The dome shone with a light green glow, and he could see that the men inside were busy looking at what he thought to be an instrument panel. One person was standing with his side towards Magnuson, and the other one was standing with his back to him. He estimated the dimensions of the object to be 3 meters, 10 feet high, on the dome, and the width was approximately 7 to 8 meters, 23 to 26 feet. The instrument panel was at hip height of the people. Magnuson perceived the men in the dome as ordinary people, but unfortunately he could not see any details of them or how they were dressed. When the car finally stopped, Magnuson rushed out to take a picture, but at the same moment the craft disappeared. All the lights just went out on it, and then it was gone. When they then turned off the car to listen, they heard no sound from where he had seen the craft. Everything was quiet and still, just like a night in the countryside should be. The strange thing about the story was that Magnuson's colleagues saw the situation completely differently. According to Bertel Elfstrom, he saw a large and very bright star in the sky. When they reached the intersection towards Gimdalen, he stopped the car to look at it, and Magnuson was excited and rushed out. Elfstrom could not see any details on the brightly shining star, other than that it was unusually large. He estimated that it was only 10 kilometers or 6 miles away from them. Was it that Elfstrom did not have time to see the object with humanoids that Magnuson claimed to have seen before they stopped the car and instead looked at a bright star or planet? How can 2 people sitting next to each other perceive the situation so differently? This is actually not an uncommon phenomenon in UFO context, and I can say that personally. Like, me and my 2 daughters saw the same thing. My old man saw something completely different. Many researchers, such as Jacques Vallée, Hilary Evans, and others, believe that this is precisely what makes the UFO phenomenon so special. It is as if the phenomenon itself takes the form that the observer wants and changes reality according to the observer's subconscious or imagination. Some people are more susceptible to these projections than others, therefore, 2 different people in the same place can experience a UFO situation completely differently. Could it be that we are dealing with a higher intelligence that simply manipulates our brains according to its will? Some researchers say yes. So, what did the police officers actually see that evening, and which one of them saw right or correctly? Was it a spaceship or just a large, bright celestial body? We do not know. Sources: UFO, October number 2, 1991, Klaas van UFO, Spokraketer, Ilgeslaber ook uit am Jordangar. Yeah, that. Alright, close encounter in the Arctic. Godhavn, Greenland, Denmark, October 21st, 1983. This was an unusual case of close contact in Greenland that the local police on the island received from 2 observers. It was a Friday in October, and the female witness was working the night shift at a nursing home with another woman by the name of NN. It was 4:25 when the witness looked out the window and saw a bright, luminous object in the sky. It was just above the horizon to the southeast, beyond the village, and it was very far away. As she watched it, she noticed that it was getting closer and it finally shone very brightly. After that, it stood in the same place in the sky for about an hour. In had now also seen the object. The main witness had at first thought that it was just an optical illusion, but when the other woman also saw it, she understood that it was not so. For a whole hour, the object had barely moved at all. As the woman studied the object more closely, she noticed that it had a transparent glass dome on top. Inside the dome, she could see 3 figures. The 2 outermost were dressed in black and looked as if they were working on something and looking at a dashboard. The being in the middle stood completely still and had a black head and what looked like red jacket and black legs. The witness now opened the window to hear if there was any sound coming from the craft, but she could hear nothing at all. Then suddenly the object came towards them at a high speed, and the woman and In panicked and fled screaming into another room. When they looked out again, they saw the craft with the beings in the sky again, but now even closer. It stood still and hovered in the same place. At 5:30, the craft started moving again, but this time up. It continued upwards until it was gone, but after about 5 minutes, it came back again and hovered in front of them. At 5:50, it disappeared upwards again with great speed until it disappeared completely in the sky. After the woman did not see the craft again. The police report only gave a factual and brief account of what the woman had experienced, and it contained no assessment of the information or the woman's credibility. Source UFO-NYT number 3, 1984. Wow, that's a lot. Oh my goodness. Here we have Johan Hari, 74. Humanoid Close Encounter Cases for the Nordic Countries, Part 15. An early abduction case from the beginning of the 20th century. Jiranvaara, Northern Karelia, Finland, by the time from 1944 in Russia, spring 1917. What? This abduction case was just mentioned in the newspaper Kirkejokalainen, which is mainly read by persons who formerly lived in the little community of Kirkejokki in Finnish-speaking Northern Karelia, nowadays a territory in Russia. This was a short article written by the signature Latamain Aino in Num 23, 9 June 1978 of Kirkejokalainen. The author tells a story from the time just before Finland declared independence from Russia, i.e. 1917. Ani, a middle-aged widow, was living in her little house in Drinvaara, about 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles to the west from the Kirkejokki church. She disappeared for some days, and the villagers thought she had gone to visit her daughter, but when she came back, she had an amazing story to tell. A large machine, like a big metal wash basin, had landed beside her house, and from it, the small beings, which Ani later called devils, come down by a ladder. Somehow she could understand a little of their language. She was not willing to follow them, but she was taken aboard by force, and they traveled very fast. Everything in the world was shown to her, and there was a lot of wonder. The machine's metal was shining inside, and it made no noise as in the train. Ani told that the devils flew her over the world and even between the stars. Ani retold her story many times for people in the community, but everybody said that she had a fever and hallucinated or was just dreaming, but Ani did not agree. The author of the article speculated if the machine was a UFO and the devils could have been humanoids, or did Ani only had a fever and dreamed it all? Further investigations. Because of this article, one of the investigators in the UFO research of Finland, Moritz Haitamaki, located and interviewed Mrs. N.N., born 1910, who was a little girl and one of Ani's neighbors when the event took place. During the years that followed Ani's experience, she had often told about it in N.N.'s home, so Mrs. N.N. could remember all the details. Ani's full name was Ani Latu, 1873 to 1930, and she was not a widow, even if it is probable that she lived alone. Actually, her husband, Juho, died 11 years later than herself. Mrs. N.N. recollected that Ani was always alone when visiting the other villagers, so it was quite natural that N.N. as a little girl took her for a widow. She lived in a little house on the eastern shore of the Kankanlampi Lake in the village of Alho. The event took place, according to Mrs. M.N., between January and Easter of 1917. Ani was doing her everyday work when the machine, which she described as wash basin shaped, the usual wash basin in those days was like a big soup ladle. When I used to take baths in those as a man between the ages of 5 and 7.5, maybe 8. Yeah. That was interesting, exciting, and invigorating. It had ladders by which Ani was taken aboard against her will. Inside the craft there were a lot of small men who were moving around quickly. Ani never spoke of their clothes, and it seems that she did not have any ideas of what the small men were, as the religious people in the village thought they were devils. Ani accepted this fact and later called them that whenever she told the story. Like for me, they looked like little gremlin guys, except for their ears weren't as large. They were closer to the head, but seriously. A girl said they were kobolds. When I looked up kobolds on the internet, those look like gnomes? No, they're not gnomes. They look like gremlins. Anywho. Mrs. N.N. comprehended from Ani's story that there had been a leader with which Ani communicated, perhaps by telepathy. Ani had been several days inside the craft. They had cruised around the world and near the stars. Ani was also asked to stay, but she did not want to. Inside the craft there had been conveniently warm, and the seats were comfortable. Finally, Ani was brought back to the same place as she was taken from, i.e., from the road outside her house. The other villagers thought that Ani had a fever. Her house was very cold during the winter, and her experience was only fever dreams. Ani never accepted this, and it seems she spoke of it quite often because she could not understand what had happened to her during those days. Sources: Nordic UFO Newsletter number 1, 1988, Heikki Fortanen. The roadside encounter in countryside. Frostunda, north of Stockholm, Sweden, late autumn 1963. A man who wished to remain anonymous and also involved in other encounters lived in a house in the countryside north of Stockholm from 1963 to 1967. This area was a place of much UFO activity throughout the 1960s and early 1970s. culminating in the world-famous UFO incidents of 1974 around Vallentuna municipality and the nearby community of Omsta. The man had been working the evening shift in Stockholm and was on his way home the 50 kilometers, 31 miles, and had taken the road through Vallentuna town to get to the community of Garsta, where he lived. He was now driving out in the countryside, and the road took him past forest, open fields, barns, and small, quiet communities. It was late in the evening, and it was cold outside, and there was frost on the ground and on the vegetation around the road, and the ice crystals glittered in the moonlight. He did not encounter much other traffic, and only the car's headlights illuminated the road and the surroundings. The man was driving his 1953 Volvo PV, and it was a good and reliable car that had rarely had any problems. After passing the small rural community of Frosunda, Frosunda? The asphalt ended and the road turned into a gravel road. However, it was a very nice, wide, and even gravel road, and the man was still able to maintain a high speed. The man wanted to get home quickly, and on a long straight stretch with open fields all around, the speed was almost up to 90 kilometers an hour, 55 miles per hour. That is when he suddenly saw a bright yellow-white light coming in from above, a little to the side, and then hovering above the car like a helicopter. It was also the man's first thought that this was a police helicopter, and that they wanted to stop him. Now the road started to get more curvy again, and he had to slow down and concentrate on the road, and it was at an intersection further ahead that he lost the object again. However, he had the feeling that the object was still close and that it was pursuing him. That is when the car started to malfunction. First, the man felt a strange warmth on his neck, and then the lights went out and the engine started to sputter. It coughed a few more times and then it stopped. The man was now on a downhill slope and rolled the Volvo and stopped it in a wide curve. He tried to start the car again several times, but it didn't work. It was dead. He realized that he might have to walk the last bit to his home. Luckily, it was not that far away, only 3 kilometers left, which is 1.8 miles. When he opened the car door, he noticed a strange light beyond some bushes and small trees not far from the car. He realized that it might be the craft he had seen above him just before. It was standing in a depression between some hills, and the farmers also used this quite secluded patch of grass as a shooting range for their hunting rifles. The man was curious about what kind of fast and maneuverable vehicle this could be and went closer. And perhaps the pilots had to make an emergency landing and needed help or were injured. He now saw that the craft was quite protected from view from the road, and it was only the light from it that made him see it. He went out into the small field and walked closer. Then he saw that some kind of blue light was flashing in the middle of the metallic craft, which was oval and had 3 square windows. On the roof it also had 3 antennas with red lights on the tip. Under the craft there were strong white lights that lit up the ground below, and he could also see the silhouettes of several men standing under the object. They were short and dressed in something like overalls, and they seemed to be doing some work on the craft from below. The man could hear a flapping sound and a crackling sound from something like high-voltage wires or a welding machine. He estimated the size of the oval craft to be 3 to 4 meters high, 10 to 13 feet, and 6 to 7 meters wide, 20 to 23 feet, and it was standing on the grass with 4 landing legs. The man also felt that the air around him seemed sticky, as if from static electricity during a thunderstorm. He was absolutely certain that it was coming from the craft. The man had now been spotted by the people under the craft, who began to stare at him and talk among themselves. Then 3 of them started walking towards him. The one in the middle was taller than the other 2, and he was about 160 centimeters, aka 5.3 feet tall, while the other 2 were 120 centimeters, 3.9 feet tall. The shorter people also had face covering helmets on their heads, which the tall one didn't seem to need, as he had no helmet at all. He looked like a normal person, but was a little shorter. It also seemed as if he was some kind of commander of the group. They quickly approached the lone man, who stood there, as if paralyzed. He tried to run, but couldn't. The tall one, without a helmet now, came closer to the man and stopped right next to him. "Where can we find water?" he asked. His lips didn't move, so the question must have been asked by telepathy. The man replied that there was a small lake beyond the hill and that he could show them. Together they all went up the nearby hill, and it went very fast, almost as if they were flying. The man now pointed out the pond that was visible. The tall one, without a helmet, thanked him telepathically. On the way back down the hill, the man asked where the visitors came from, and the tall one pointed up at a starry sky. Where he pointed was a place near the Big Dipper. But suddenly the tall one grabbed the man's arm and tried to pull him along. They almost flew towards the craft quite quickly, but at the last moment the man grabbed a tree, held on in panic. He was sure that the visitors wanted him aboard the craft. Maybe they wanted to show him where they came from. The man didn't want that. Then a truck made a noise out on the nearby road, and the man started screaming for help. But then everything went black. Several hours later, the man woke up from the cold. He looked around and saw that the craft and the short men were gone. When he heard a car coming on the road, he rushed out and stopped it. It turned out to be one of his neighbors, who gave the man a ride to his house. Once home, he went straight to bed and fell asleep right away. The next day, the man woke up feeling unwell, and his eyes felt heavy and strained. He later called a friend and asked if he could help him with his car that had broken down. The friend arrived and they drove to the car. They tried to start the car with the jumper cables and other means, but no avail. The car would not start. Instead, the man and his friend went up the hill where he had been the night before with the space people, and in the grass they now saw some kind of jelly-like slime. Oh my gosh, I've heard of this. The friend wondered what this strange substance was, and when he bent down to take a closer look, he discovered the man's wristwatch in the grass nearby. The man tried to tell him what had happened the night before, but the friend did not believe him and laughed and claimed that he must have been drunk and vomited this jelly on the ground and then fell asleep in the grass for a few hours. Then they towed the man's Volvo home with the help of a friend's car. Later, the man discovered that the starter motor, alternator, and battery smelled burnt, and after he bought a new battery and replaced the one, the car started again without any problems. Sometime later, the man visited the site again and discovered that the ground where the craft had stood was really flattened, and the grass was black here and there, as if it had been burned. The slime was also still there. Oh, are you serious? What the crack? Honolulu child. And had expanded in size. He also met an unknown person at the site who also stopped and looked at the gel. He also wondered what it could be and also saw the scorched grass below the hill. The man then said to the other person, "Maybe a saucer has landed here." The unknown person replied, "Yes, it is not completely impossible." And then he quickly walked away. There was something strange about this person, the man thought. Something that was not right. Did he know anything about the landing? The man never saw this person again, and he never saw the space people and their craft again either. But that was not the last time the man would encounter something unexplainable. Source: UFO Information Number 2, 3, and 4, 1986. Also read about the fascinating Valentuna UFO wave of 1974 in Reddit. There are several different links if you want to look it up. Yeah. So, this next story is new information emerged from a close encounter with a UFO. New information emerged from a close encounter with a UFO. Helsingør, Eastern Denmark, April 1973. In the spring of 1973, a man in the Helsingør area had a close encounter with an oblong flying object with several illuminated windows. He contacted the Danish UFO organization SUFOI, who came to his home and conducted an interview. The man was still shocked and was happy to talk to the investigators because his family did not believe him. There were several visits to the man, and they got to know him quite well. They got a lot of information about the incident from the man during these interviews, but they still got the feeling that there was something that the man was holding back and was not telling. Several years later, the man's wife called one of the UFO investigators. They had met before, and she said that she had noticed in her husband that there was something he wanted to tell. SUFOI again visited the family, and over a cup of coffee, the following story emerged. It was 9:07 p.m. and the man was out walking in the area where he lived that evening. Then he suddenly saw out of the corner of his eye a bright object in the sky to the southwest, and it was rapidly coming closer and closer to him. It was a red-hot flaming object, and the man could hear a crackling, sizzling sound from the flames similar to that of slowly pouring water on red-hot iron. For a short while, it almost seemed as if the object was going to hit him, and the man was about to start running away, but then 50 meters, 165 feet away from him, the object stopped and then made a sharp turn to the right, and then stopped again 30 to 40 meters, 98 to 131 feet, further away over a depression in the terrain where there was swampland. So far, the story was relatively identical to what the investigators had heard before. But during this meeting, the man was more inclined to talk about certain details that he had previously kept to himself. Now he told the investigators that in the bow of the craft there was a round bulging window, and inside this he had seen 3 beings, and behind them a white-orange light was blazing in some luminous rods that moved slightly. The people in the window were wearing black suits, and he could only see them from the waist up. The man described their appearance as hideous. They looked cruel, their arms could not be seen, their necks were thin, and their heads were somewhat angular. Their eyes were like large shiny glasses, and where their ears should have been, there were long, upright growths. The witness said that these growths could be some kind of antennae. He did not see any detailed facial features. After the man told the investigators about the people in the craft, they could notice that it was as if a weight lifted from his heart and he felt relieved. The witness said that he had not wanted to mention anything about these beings before because he was afraid that the investigators would then dismiss the whole incident as pure fantasy. The man did not initially want this latest episode to be added to the previous testimony because he had heard that leading people within SUFOI viewed UFO cases involved alien beings with skepticism and contempt. With the man's permission, the case was later updated. Source: UFO-NYT number 3, 1982. UFO landing in Hestollen. Hestollen, mid-Norway, May-June 1984. Hestollen in Norway is known to be a place where many unexplained UFO phenomenon have been observed over the years. The mysterious so-called Hestollen lights have been seen, photographed, and filmed by many people in the valley area since the 1930s. The phenomenon reached its peak between 1981 and 1984 when the lights were reported up to 15 to 20 times per week. In 1983, UFO Norway and UFO Sweden started Project Hestollen with the aim of investigating the strange lights in more detail. And in 2010, they set up HAMS, Hestollen Automatic Measurement Station, to record, measure, and film the phenomenon. Many theories about the Hestollen lights have been put forward, but no one has yet answered the question of what causes these phenomena, where they come from, or who or what is behind it. UFO landings have also been reported in the area, and in the early summer of 1984, 60-year-old Mrs. Ellie Bindas was involved in one. She lived in the community of Allen, which was a couple of kilometers, 1.2 miles northeast of Hestollen. That day, Ellie had been up with her cows on the mountain pastures and came home late in the evening. She was tired after the day's work and went to bed. But for some reason, she couldn't sleep and lay there for a long time just tossing and turning in bed. She thought it was pointless to just lie there, so instead she got up, and the time was around 0:30 p.m. She went to one of the windows in the houses that faced Rockies, Rhone Mountain, and looked out. As is usual in Scandinavia, in the summer it wasn't quite pitch black outside at night, and the weather was clear and nice, and the sky still had some faint color. Suddenly, Ellie saw a red glowing ball traveling from south to north along Rhone Mountain. The object passed in front of the mountains, massive, and it moved a little in a wave motion. Then the orb stopped. It went from red to white light, and then it sank down and landed in a meadow 400 meters, 437 yards away from her. She also thought it looked as if the object changed shape. When it was in the ground, a white figure jumped out. The sequence of events happened very quickly, and it didn't take many seconds before the white being climbed into the object again. Then the UFO lifted up into the air and tilted over on one side and disappeared. How it disappeared and where, Ellie could not see. Mrs. Bindas heard of many people who have made strange sightings in the Hestollen area, and for her it was the second time she had seen a UFO there. About a year before, she had seen a similar red light orb flying in front of Rockies, but that time it did not land. Source: UFO October number 3, 1984. Good luck. Well, you guys, on that note, let's go to our second music break. On this break, we have Mr. Hosni Bronx, who originally hails from Jamaica, but also hails from the Bronx in New York. He kind of goes back and forth. With Free Child and Strong Life, we also have King Cinnamon from Biafra, Nigeria, with Rosie. And then we have Nonye Toria from Ghana, South Africa, with Monyaye. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Who decided
Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I said you wine your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Make it rock my body, I am feeling horny. Make it touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. All my men, they wear out. All my guys, they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Mukomukeji, go bere muketa. Oya mukomukeji, oya bere muketa. Daddy mu ekon, omo ni kwa mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omo ni fumi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, omo ni ejo. Daddy saucy saucy, omo ni ejo. Daddy kosi kosi, omo ni ejo. Daddy turn him pussy, omo ni ejo. Daddy and his baby, them there for corner. Daddy begin the touch and the girl the holla. Nine daddy begin the open the shirt collar. Nine something comma. Daddy begin the soccer. Daddy mu ekon, omo ni kwa mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, omo ni fumi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, omo ni ejo. Daddy saucy saucy, omo ni ejo ejo. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I see the wine your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Shake it, rock my body, I am feeling horny. Shake it, touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Suck my boots, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. Kissy, kissy, amani, ejo. Daddy saucy, saucy, amani, ejo. Daddy kosi, kosi, amani, ejo. Daddy kahir kosi, amani, ejo. Daddy contact, amani, ejo. Daddy comfort, daddy consist, amani, ejo. Daddy can't eat, daddy 120, amani, ejo. Daddy 18, daddy 240, amani, ejo. Daddy 36. Daddy and the baby, them there for corner. Daddy begin the touch and the girl the holla. Daddy begin the open the shirt collar. I come to come, daddy begin the soccer. Daddy move, echo, amani kwe mukeji. Daddy bere muketa, amani fumi lẹ́yìn. Daddy fisi fisi, amani ejo. Daddy saucy saucy, amani ejo ejo. All my men they wear out. All my guys they wear out. Imarama, 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 Imarama.
Oh yeah, it's funky.
Babylon to make you suffer. Babylon to make you suffer. Babylon to make you suffer. What is desire? Young life. We are ready to fight.
nonye monjage orimi monjage orimi monjage orimi monjage orimi monjage orimi monjage orimi. Some do good just for the doing, see everything just for the seeing, don't even care what you're receiving, through all the heights just for relying. I'll be fine, fine, fine lady, I don't wanna be your baby, all I wanna do is get crazy, wanna have me just get ready, now wait till Nasabi, I did tell you all my how life is, not so show love with your heart and show love with your soul. Monjage orimi, 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 monjage orimi. Some people help just for the helping, few people love just for true loving, give everything just for the giving, don't even care what you'll be receiving. I'll be fine, fine, fine lady, I don't wanna be your baby, all I wanna do is get crazy, wanna have me just get ready, now wait till Nasabi, I did tell you all my how life is, not so show love with your heart and show love with your soul. Monjage orimi, 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 monjage orimi. Swag beats, funky, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nonye, nonye, nonye.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on VR Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Alright, so for this third hour, we'll do the thought of the hour, and then we'll carry on with Reddit ghost stories. So the quote for this hour is there anything more embarrassing than barking up the wrong tree? I don't know, what do you think? This one is by Can Do at ATT. I used to give history tours in this haunted house. There are so many places like this that are local legends. The Bromley House is definitely well known in the area. I'm surprised there aren't more haunted videos about it. One of my fellow tour guides had a physical experience and almost fell down the stairs when she was giving a tour. She was very shaken up when she left the house. She was convinced the ghost Anna Bromley got mad at her or for something she said. Another city employee told a story about setting up the china cabinet for display, only to come back a short time later to find the cabinet open and the china smashed on the floor. I also heard that historical framed photos that were hung securely on the walls came crashing down to the floor the next day. This one is by Cover Girl, Girl. third paranormal experience? Bio parents may have been haunting me, smoking as they did in life. I told them to leave, and the air immediately smelled fresher. Story. I may have just experienced my third paranormal unexplained event. Tonight, as I was waking up, cooking and eating dinner and doing my usual routine, I became aware of a familiar smoky smell in my apartment. It dawned on me I was smelling cigarette smoke. Smoking is prohibited in my apartment building. You can't eccentric smoke on your balcony. You have to go completely off the property. It's that strict. With that rule, I shouldn't be smelling cigarette smoke, but I was. I'm also allergic to cigarette smoke, in fact, a fact I discovered at the age of 25. My childhood was miserable with allergies. We thought it was due to my allergy to everything green plus cats and dogs. I had both. But I discovered at 25 that I'm way more allergic to cigarette smoke than anything else. So the reason my allergies were so horrible as a child was because all three parents smoked like chimneys. Bio parents and stepmother. The bio parents are dead now, and I'd gotten no contact with them long before they died. So, I go about my routine until I get back in my room to browse the web and watch music videos on MTV. Finally, I get sick of the smell, so I turn my head and say out loud, "If you're haunting me and that's your cigarette smoke I smell, you can leave now." And almost immediately, the air smells fresher. Kinda weird, no? This one is by Azriel_Delacroix. I was a security guard for a children's hospital. I worked night shifts, 2200 to 0800 hours. The hospital is pretty big with a lot of ground to cover, and we begin our shifts with duties divided up. I volunteered for lockups, which is when you ensure every door in the hospital is locked up tight for the night. There was one area where cleaning staff didn't leave until 0000 hours, and that was the clinic. It's 5 floors, and everything above the first is haunted. You'd think the morgue or other wings would house the spirits of children long gone, but nope. I've talked to the cleaning crews who were more than happy to leave when the time came because they've heard and seen things in that clinic. And so have I. My duties were to ensure all lights were off, save for the lobby floor, and all doors were secured until morning unlock. I'd sweep each floor 10 minutes probably, double-checking lights and locks. There I'd hear distant footsteps, doors opening, lights I know I turned off, suddenly on. I worked there for 3 months and came to expect it at that point. One night really freaked me out. I was finishing my rounds on the top floor, the last stop before I left the clinic, and my blood froze as I heard giggling from one of the examination rooms. Light poured through the bottom crack of the door, a light I know for sure I clicked off. I shook my head and made my way to the elevator. I wasn't about to deal with that. I'd wait till daybreak started around 0500 hours to deal with that. Hope you enjoyed the story. Well, thanks for sharing, buddy. Buddy-ro, buddy-ray. Fortune, warning, and death. I'm going to share a story that was told to me by a long-time female friend of mine. I'll write it in her own voice, just as she told it to me. When I went with a friend to visit a famous tourist spot in San Francisco, we decided to check out a beer festival that was happening there. The festival was packed and the line was ridiculously long. We were told we'd have to wait for hours, so we gave up on that idea. Instead, we decided to do something some shopping at a nearby mall. There was a small fortune-telling booth there. There wasn't really much of a fortune-teller's house, just a small area partitioned off. My friend was excited and said, "I want to get a reading," so we decided to stop by. As soon as we stepped inside, the fortune teller glanced at my face and flinched. It was a really dramatic and obvious reaction, like something out of a movie. My friend sat down to get her reading while I sat next to her, observing. The fortune teller never once looked at me. She kept her gaze fixed on my friend the entire time, giving her advice. She said things like, "You should consider your friendships," or "Your social life is stagnant. You need to seek new connections and cut ties with the old and let fresh air into your life for better luck." I was a bit irritated, but stayed quiet. My friend must have sensed the strange atmosphere because she laughed nervously and said, "Wait, are you really saying this with my friends sitting right here?" Then suddenly the fortune teller stood up, turned to face me and said, "This girl is really a good person. Please, you need to leave her." Oh, excuse me. Both my friend and I were shocked and just froze for a moment. Then the fortune teller said, "If you care about her, you need to leave her." I didn't understand what she meant and was just staring in shock when my friend got angry and said, "That's way too rude. What is wrong with you?" We angrily paid and left the place in a hurry. My friend and I went out to a nearby bar district and drank heavily, venting about what had happened. That friend passed away 3 years later from a type of cancer that affects women. It happened so suddenly. She was in her early 20s and it all went by so fast. Before she passed away, I had gotten married. When she died, it was my husband who supported me the most. A few years after she passed, I had mostly recovered and my husband invited me on a trip to New York City. We went to a festival in New York City's Chinatown. There was also a fortune teller shop there, but because of the trauma from what happened with my friend and also because I never really believed in fortune telling, we didn't go in. Both my husband and I love drinking, so we decided to stop by a nearby Chinese restaurant to enjoy some drinks, some sake, perhaps. When we walked into the restaurant, I noticed the old woman there staring at me in a way that made me feel really uncomfortable. My husband noticed too and asked, "Do you want to leave?" But since we had been looking forward to eating there, I decided to stay. The whole time we were there, I felt the old woman's eye on me, but despite that, the food and drinks were amazing, and my husband and I were very satisfied. We were both a little tipsy, and I had completely forgotten the strange feeling I had when we first came in. After a lot of eating and drinking, it was finally time to ask for the bill. The old woman came over with a smile, thanking us for coming. I thought, maybe I was just being overly sensitive because of what happened before. My husband seemed to feel the same, and he smiled back, thanking her as he headed to the register. As I stood up and grabbed my things, just as we were about to leave, the old woman suddenly spoke in a low voice. "You shouldn't get close to anyone. That person is really good. If you care about them, you should leave them." I was dumbfounded completely. Holy shnikes. Totally at a loss for words. A woman who seemed to be the shopkeeper quickly came over and apologized, saying, "I'm so sorry. She's been a bit forgetful lately." The old woman was quickly led away. My husband, sensing the awkward atmosphere, asked, "Are you okay? Don't let it bother you." But all I could say was, "I'm fine," and we left to go back to the hotel. 2 years later, my husband passed away from pancreatic cancer. He was still in his 20s. Holy shnikes, these kids are young. Both my mother and father had also died of cancer when I was a teenager. The grandmother who had raised me also developed cancer when I was still young, but the progression was slow due to her age, and she stayed with me until I graduated from university. Now I have a man who has proposed to me, intending to marry me. He knows that I lost my husband in the past and still chose to be with me. He's a wonderful person, and we are both still barely in our 20s. As much as I want to believe I can start my life over again, part of me can't forget the words of those two women. Even though I think fortune-telling is nonsense, I can't help but be haunted by their words. That person is really good. If you care about them, you should leave them. Do you think there's really no need to believe in fortune-telling? I think maybe she's cursed and everybody around her that she loves ends up dying from cancer. Pretty crazy. No, Tadpole 92. What do you guys think? Okay, so I woke up one night, and when I sat up, I looked to my doorframe and saw a pale figure in a translucent white robe with deep black hair reaching her shoulders, just staring. At least I think so. Its face was distorted and blurry. It held nothing, its arms drooping. I looked away for a split second and then looked back. It had apparently left. I went to school the next day, thinking nothing of it until one of my closest friends told me about a similar sighting he had just minutes before mine. Same white robe, same shoulder-length hair, everything, but for some reason, it stayed there watching him. He blinked, it went away. He blinked again, and it came back, before vanishing once more, only moments before I saw it in my home. I don't really know if this was a coincidence or something, but I do know that to this day, when I describe the encounter, I feel a presence watching me, similar to the one I felt that day. This one is by Queasy Technology 3540. Something visited my house while my dad was on his deathbed. I've been a paranormal skeptic my entire life, but this is one experience I've had that I cannot explain with my usual rationale. This occurred 4 days before my dad died. To set the scene, there were 5 people in the house. My dad, who was comatose and near death at this point, my mom, who had a bedroom upstairs, and then me, my brother, and my granddad, who all have bedrooms downstairs. That night I was up late in my bedroom, and around 2 a.m. I hear the very distinct sound of human footsteps in the hallway outside my room, followed by the hallway light clicking on and off. I clearly heard the click of the light switch, and I saw the light from under my door. I assumed it was my brother, but a few moments later he knocked on my door and asked, "Were you in the hallway just now?" I replied, "No, that wasn't me. I thought it was you." "Well, if it wasn't either of us, who the hell was it?" The only other people in the house it could have been were my mom and my granddad. If it was my mom, she would have had the decency to descend an extremely creaky staircase to get into the hallway, and we would have heard that from our bedrooms, and the sound of the footsteps did not match my granddad, who drags his feet on the ground and walks with a cane. Confused, I stepped out of my bedroom and went to my granddad's door. I could hear his loud snoring from inside, confirming it was definitely not him. Then I went upstairs and peeked into my parents' room. My mom was fast asleep, snoring as well. Thoroughly freaked out, I checked every other room in the house and verified that all doors and windows were locked. Ruling out the possibility of a random intruder, by this point my brother was nearly in tears because he was so scared. Neither of us were in a joking mood considering the family tragedy we were experiencing, so I know he wasn't pulling my leg. The next day I asked my mom if she was up walking in the hallway at 2 a.m. and she confirmed that she was asleep and hadn't left her room at all that night. It freaks me out so bad because it's an event that has two witnesses, me and my brother, and we both heard and saw the exact same thing. We were up for nearly 2 hours afterwards, scared as fuck, trying to come up with some rational explanation, but we have none. Maybe it was an angel of death, maybe it was a dead relative visiting my dad, maybe it was a fucking demon because the vibes in the house were so depressing at that point. I have no clue. But that's the one and hopefully only paranormal experience I've ever had. If anybody has ideas about what it could have been, please let me know. This one is by external_carpet_3249. Ghost? Really? Wake up, people. It's all been debunked. Look, I have to be blunt. I don't believe in ghosts, spirits, or any supernatural nonsense. Honestly, the whole idea is laughable. People literally get scared of air and shadows. Let's talk facts. Famous hauntings like the Amityville Horror, the Enfield Poltergeist, or even the Brown Lady photo from Graham Hall, all either debunked, hoaxes, or easily explained by natural phenomena. Yet, however, people still cling to these stories like they're gospel truth. So I want to ask, what convinces you? Has anyone here actually experienced a ghost, or do you just enjoy telling yourself creepy bedtime stories? Give me your best evidence. But please, no anecdotes that can't survive a basic Google search. I'm not trying to be nice, I'm genuinely baffled that grown adults believe in invisible energy floating around old houses. Convince me if you can, I dare you. Oh boy, somebody I hope can convince him, I don't know. He sounds like a pretty closed-minded individual. This one is by Elfrina_Green. My ghost stories. Ghost train. So I mentioned last time that I have experienced ghost trains going through my town. At first I put it off as just normal ghost sounds, but I've grown entirely used to ghost sounds, so a train going through the town wasn't that much of a surprise. What surprised me was learning that instead of removing the old tracks, the city decided to pave over them. These tracks run the entirety of my town and the area in which I live. The old buildings that were a part of the train system have been refurbished into other buildings. There are a few old train cars scattered throughout the town, the main engine being in a local museum. One car is now a diner, and the other has been converted into a part of someone's home, so for me, train sounds have become a part of life. Really, it's the old train station in town that puts me off. It's not the fact that it is now a lodge for our local either Elks or Eagles chapters that doesn't bother me at all. It's the people I have seen coming in and out of the old building. Watching the ghost of a passenger follow a local out of the building is odd. Walking past it and hearing the sounds of people trying to catch the train or getting off the train and loading onto coaches to take them to one of our many hotels or even ones that are no longer standing. That's the weird part. However, having said this, I realize now that they just want to be seen, acknowledged, and even sometimes heard. I don't venture into town too often anymore. There are more ghosts in town than I care to admit. Though with the history of the town, I'm not really all that surprised. I've walked through the old Idaho State Penitentiary in Boise, Idaho, after all, so this town shouldn't really bother me, but there is just something about it that has my hair on edge. It doesn't help that I've discovered a few spirits follow me home. And this one is by Sharkmar. 2 knocks on the window and things light up. For the past couple of weeks, strange things have been happening to me. I've always been prone to things like this, like weird dreams or seeing things that aren't really there, but lately it's been more of a constant occurrence. For the past 3 days, I've been feeling like around 3 in the morning someone is sitting on my bed. Not just a vague feeling, but as if it were really happening. At first, I thought it was my mom and asked her to stop, but she said it wasn't her. Then I woke up at 3:13 because a device that I hadn't used for over 3 or 4 months turned on, and I even thought it had no battery. Less than 30 minutes ago, I woke up because 2 knocks were heard outside my window, followed by the fire in the fireplace, which had been off for hours. Out of nowhere, my father and sister are asleep, and after the knocks, it didn't even occur to me to get up. Does anyone have any ideas? I practice pagan practices, but nothing like this has ever happened to me. Also, all dogs bark at 3 in the morning. What the hell is happening? Who are these people? Oh my. This one's by Kimmy94. My grandma's mom visited me. So, I've got plenty of experiences as someone who has a sleeping sixth sense, meaning I don't open it up or lock it away as I don't feel ready to truly use it. Doubt it matters here anyway, but just to mention that I'm very sensitive to the paranormal. Anyway, a little bit of context first. My grandma's mom died when she was in her early 30s from some illness or condition. I can't fully find out since my grandma is struggling with late Alzheimer's. After the experience, a medium friend told me it's likely her checking in being a bit of a prankster or teasing me. It all occurred within the course of 2 weeks about a year ago, and something small as late as last week. I was getting ready for bed as I stayed up a bit late talking to a friend on the phone. Suddenly I got the feeling that I had to go down and check if I locked the door. Sounds normal, but when I did, I kept feeling like I ran into spider webs several times, which were strange as I literally walked up those same stairs minutes earlier. The door was locked, obviously, and I walked back up, confused as to why I needed to do that. When I entered the bedroom again, I got a sudden shock of icy cold air in the center of the room, but decided to ignore it and lay down to say goodnight to my friend. Suddenly, I start hearing the sound of someone scratching their nails on the wall in the corner of the room. Faintly, but you can hear it until it suddenly stops again. My way of dealing with the paranormal was to ignore it, but it got worse. Oh yes. Once I was in bed and turned off the lights, a couple of minutes pass, and I feel a cold hand go across my neck and a chilly breeze near my ear. Minutes after that, I literally feel those same nails under my feet as if she's tickling me. Of course, at this point, I'm just extremely uncomfortable and light my lamp and just sit there until exhaustion simply dragged me into sleep. A few days pass, where lesser things keep happening, feeling breezes and breaths, little light touches, till the final night she came by for over a year. I was going to bed expecting nothing because it had been calm. I lay down in bed and turn off the lights when I hear a female voice whisper straight into my ears, which threw me out of bed. I can't remember what she said, but it sounded very soft and spoken slowly. Didn't get much sleep that night, then it suddenly stopped. Now, a year later, which was just last week, I was in my bedroom at my PC for a few hours, decide to leave for a while and go downstairs to make something to eat. I go upstairs again to get my charger, and I swear I'm not exaggerating this, and I have no automated scent dispensers and such. My entire bedroom smelled of strawberries, as if someone was slicing and preparing fresh ones, and it lingered for a long time. It was a really pleasant smell, inviting. I'm still confused about it, haha, and no, it wasn't just me, as I had someone I had there that evening go upstairs to smell it as well, but that's just one of my experiences. A Dog or a Ghost? This is by 88 Red Ribbons. When I was a kid, I had an experience that was stuck with me my whole life. I think I was around 7 or 8 years old. It was about 9 at night, and I was watching TV in the living room with my family when we realized I had left one of my toys outside in the backyard. Oh no! My parents told me I needed to be responsible and go out and get it myself. I remember feeling nervous because the backyard looked so different at night. Shadows felt heavier, the air was colder, and everything seemed quieter. But I went out anyways, grabbed my toy, and that's when it happened. Out of nowhere, a dog appeared. It didn't bark, it didn't make a sound, it just walked slowly across the yard. And then, right in front of my eyes, it vanished into a tree. Not behind it, not around it, into it. The moment it disappeared, I felt this icy chill crawl up the back of my neck and run down my spine. My head felt fuzzy and my whole body just froze for a second before I bolted back inside with my toy. My parents knew I was scared of the dark and probably thought I was letting my imagination play tricks on me. They praised me for going out there by myself, told me I needed to be more responsible about bringing my things in before dark, and left it at that, but I know what I saw. I can still picture it so clearly. The dog appearing out of thin air and then dissolving into that tree? For years, I swore it was a ghost. Maybe the spirit of a dog, maybe even something else disguising itself as one. Even now, as an adult, when I remember it, I get that same chill running down my spine. I don't think it was just my imagination. Something was out there that night. I don't think it was a bad spirit, but something that used my own fear to make me more responsible. Maybe the ghost of my ancestors. This one is by Jin's Midnight Cafe. Pay what you owe. I heard this story from a Thai classical dance professor and just had to share it with you guys. So, this is about what a Thai classical dance professor experienced when she was invited to perform in a neighboring country. She's 47 now, but the incident happened about 20 years ago. Back then, she was already well known, often getting invited to perform both locally and abroad, showcasing Thai traditional arts. One of her big moments was performing in Germany at an event where artists from around the world presented their cultural traditions. She performed Thai classical dance, which consists of slow, intricate steps following ancient patterns to music. As expected, she received praise, especially from representatives of her neighboring country, Cambodia, also famous for their beautiful traditional arts. They exchanged contacts, and a little later she received an email inviting her to Cambodia to perform a ritual dance. For context, Thai dance isn't like modern dance, where you can just dance whenever you feel like it. It's sacred, highly respected, and often tied to religious ceremonies or blessings for success. So, unlike our silly little dance in the shower, we can't just perform Thai dance when we like it, as it's respectful or disrespectful. When the Cambodian side asked her to perform a worship ritual, she hesitated. Traveling abroad was riskier back then, and she worried about her team's safety. To avoid going, she set the price very high of 120,000 baht, a huge sum at the time. To her shock, they agreed. Even when she asked to bring not just her team of 4 dancers, but 22 people total, including family and friends, they still agreed. This made her grow even more suspicious. When she pressed them, they admitted their business was successful, but it's on the gray side of the business, and that they owed everything they have to the entity they worshipped. To repay it, they had to offer ritual dances. From the footage in Germany, they believed she was the perfect one to lead it. So, bish, bash, bosh, they agreed to go. When they arrived, things felt off immediately. None of the Cambodian representatives from Germany showed up. Instead, a new man greeted them warmly, providing buses with comfy seats, dining areas, even toilets to take them on a 4-hour ride to an old abandoned castle. Workers there were preparing the grounds with flowers and lights for the ritual. The professor and her team began practicing, but something strange happened. Sacred objects they had brought from Thailand, the Poké head, a hermit mask revered in Thai dance, and even the head of Phra Pekanet, Lord Ganesha, started moving on their own, shaking violently left and right, and people whispered in shock. The professor prayed for protection, but the shaking grew worse. Now this was a bad omen. She wanted to back out, but others convinced her to stay. Later, the man who hired them asked her to switch costumes into something he provided. Old yet eerily beautiful Absinthe-style costumes with tall headdresses. They all fit perfectly, as if tailored for each dancer. By then, the professor was uneasy. Even the accommodation, which was an old house with the failing power, kept her on edge. Then the day of the ritual came, but the ritual was suddenly postponed from 11:04 a.m. to 11:13 p.m. The professor had enough and tried to quit. The man doubled her pay to 250,000 baht, and even brought in armed soldiers to ensure safety. Against her instincts, the crew agreed to go ahead since they were already there. Might as well finish the job. The night of the ritual was horrifying. Instead of golden flower trays, the shaman handed them black trays filled with burnt rice and wilted black flowers. The song used was supposed to be a traditional Thai song, but then the shaman suddenly changed the song. The music wasn't your typical traditional melody. The song was kind of like Ratri dance from this horror game called Home Sweet Home 2, but it also had sounds of people wailing and shrieking. The crew used the same steps that they've practiced and started dancing to the strange melody. Just 13 sets, the professor tells the crew. They just had to finish 13 sets of dance and they would finally be done. Right from the start of the performance, it just felt wrong. Their bodies grew unbearably heavy, as if invisible hands were dragging their feet into the ground. They felt pinches, cramps, something forcing them to move in a certain manner, like a puppet. By the 8th set, people appeared out of nowhere, clapping. At that time, the professor felt sick, on the verge of vomiting as she heard those figures arguing violently. Some were shouting, "I want this one." Others were shouting, "No, I chose her first." Finally, in the 13th set, the dancers bowed low, foreheads tilted and pressed to the floor in a submissive manner. Just when their heads touched the floor, there was a loud bang echoing through the castle. Half the lights exploded, plunging the place into darkness. Shocked but too exhausted to even move, the professor's crew had to carry everyone back to the bus. The only one smiling was the ritual's owner, clapping with satisfaction. As the bus sped away, the people who were fighting either actually chased after it, glaring and pointing at the dancers. Everyone was terrified, fearing for their lives. By 7 a.m., the group reached the Thai border. That's it, they thought, crying and hugging each other as they felt that they were finally safe. Well, they weren't. The ritual had been held on what Thais call the 5th Saturday, a rare, spiritually powerful day. Exactly 1 year later, on the next 5th Saturday, one dancer suddenly died. The father of that dancer member slapped the professor and shouted, because of you, my kid died." The younger sister of the dance member explained that before the death, she kept dreaming of people coming for her, fighting for her body, pulling her until her arms and legs were torn. Going to the temple did not help. at night she heard stomping sounds. From that dance members' bedrooms at around 4 a.m., the little sister went up to check and saw her sister dancing and then suddenly dropped, hitting the floor of the bed. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, but doctors insisted she had already been dead hours earlier. On the next 5th Saturday, another dancer died in a freak bus accident. Later, a third nearly fell to her death, but was saved last minute, only to lose her mind and die 2 years later, frozen in a dance pose. The remaining members went to fortune tellers and learned the truth that they had unknowingly sold their souls. Once their money was gone, the spirits would claim them to dance for them forever in the afterlife. The remaining members went to fortune tellers and learned the truth that they had unknowingly sold their souls. Once their money was gone, the spirits would claim them to dance for them forever in the afterlife. In desperation, the 2 survivors were ordained as monks, hoping for protection. To this day, on every 5th Saturday for 20 years, they stay in temples to escape the curse. So yeah, in the end, that performance wasn't just a dance. They were used as pawns in this barbaric sacrifice ritual, and the price was their souls. Jen's Midnight Cafe said, "Where I'm from, the 5th Saturday is considered extra powerful for rituals. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I've also heard people say accidents often happen on full moons. In your culture, are there certain days seen as especially strong or unlucky?" Well, that is really hard to say, I must say. Oh, I do say. Well, guys, I hope you guys had an awesome Labor Day weekend. I hope you had good time with the family, or good time away from your job, or just time to relax and enjoy your freedoms and the lives you get to live that other people are just really, really hoping to take part in, even just to live next door and witness it. But yep, it's a pretty crazy world out there these days. But how was your Labor Day weekend? Mine was pretty relaxing and fun and funny and really uneventful. We didn't go fishing or anything like that, but got the kids to go to the library, and then I did some ghost hunting and stuff, and everything was good till today, till my nephew came over and just let the dogs out. Ian and Herc went running amok. And then my poor goose Greta Van Beek, we found her about, I want to say, 30-45 minutes after the dogs escaped, and she was on her back trying to, well, the kids said she was trying to turn over. When I saw her, I thought for sure she was dead, so I was just super bummed because she is so sweet compared to Grace. Like, Grace is an Emden, like the one I had last year, and they're very territorial and, I don't know, more hardcore badasses. Greta, she's a sweet little buff goose, and I don't know, she got the crap scared out of her for sure. For shizzle. So let me know what you guys think. The different things we did tonight. Am I the asshole? Humanoid interactions, whatever that was. Reddit ghost stories. What do you like? Do you like the mix of things? Do you want me to change things? Please leave a comment here on YouTube or on Spreaker, or you could email me at weareparadoxmedia@gmail.com, or you could text me at 970-426-1991. Well, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And thank you to all of my friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, iHeartRadio, wherever you may be listening. Beyond the Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time, and I can't